Good morning everybody and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Districts, and my name is Susanna and I live with trains, and today it is double bubble and there's the clues right there. So we'll jump straight into it. Now I've had this yellow one, this Network Rail one, for some time, and that yellow one is a Hornby Railroad Plus one, and the R number was R3915, I believe that is. There you go, that was a box for it. And it was one of these Railroad Plus ones, so it was relatively cheap. Now, there was a time when Hornby first released these that you could have a choice of buying, I think it was this yellow one, but you could also get a green one. And it was a green one with half yellow ends. Now, I didn't buy one at the time. And I had thought about it because I thought it crossed my mind because I'd seen one. But I never got around to buying them. So anyway, I put sound in this. It's got U2 sound in it. And it was in my last running session because I was having issues with the sound on it. And when I think it was Gary was over here and we were doing a running session and we were running this, I noticed that when I started running it with the sound, it was fine. But then after a few laps or so, the sound would just cut out. It would just fade away and it would just get lower and lower and lower until it just, you can hear it. And it's been something on the to-do list to try and sort it out, and I wasn't quite sure whether it was the chip, whether it's the speaker, or what was going on with it. So this year I'm going to be looking at building a heritage line, hence the green DMU. Now, I've got quite a lot of green already, and I've always liked green. I had green at Ringwood South. In fact, I actually watched one of my previous videos to get a feel for my heritage line that I did previously to give me some ideas for the new one. So I've got a few green locos and the green EMU. I've got green rolling stock, I should say, and a green EMU. And the idea was to actually convert this yellow one into that green one. That was the plan. So I looked up on eBay to see if I could just get a body for this rather than get a whole locomotive. Unfortunately, as it turns out, I couldn't get a body for it. I could only get a complete locomotive. But as it turns out, that complete DMU, which is DC, it's only DC. It wasn't DC ready or anything like that. It was just DC analog, and that came as a lemur. Now I had a rough idea that that the body would fit, but I wasn't 100% certain. But I was relatively confident that it was going to fit. As it turns out, like I said, it was actually cheaper for me to buy the whole DMU than it was to get a body for it. Strangely enough, I only paid, I think, 35. I think it is 35 for the whole lot, which is pretty good going because some of the prices of Leamouth rolling stock is still going for about £60-70 second hand. So it is still quite expensive even to get a lemur. I was buying Lemur Class 50s back in the day when they were brand new for about £30. So to get this for £35 is pretty good going. It wasn't without its flaws, and I will show you that now. So the idea was, when I got the whole complete DMU, was actually still have the two DMUs, but do a transplant. So essentially have the green body on the chassis of the yellow one. And the reason for that is because this is a Hornby Railroad Plus. It has all the modern pickups and it has a better motor in it and it's more reliable with the sound. Now, I have dabbled, as you guys well know, those of you who've been with me long enough, that I've dabbled in converting DC locos to DCC, and it hasn't always been successful. It tends to be more successful if you're just putting a DC chip in it, DCC chip, I should say. But once you start adding sound to it, then it becomes a bit more sketchy. And it isn't always as reliable, and it doesn't always run properly, and all the rest of it. So that's why I wanted to get a green body to just basically swap this body out, and then essentially have the green one with DCC sound and with a better motor, and that it will run reliably. So as things stand, as you're looking at it right now, this is the yellow one is actually the DC one, and that is now DCC sound, the green one. It's been refurbished and modified, and it hasn't been without its issues when I got it. So I'm going to show you a slideshow of what this was like when I got it, what the seller's pictures were, so you can see for yourself, and then we'll come back and I'll show you exactly what I've actually done. So stay tuned to find out more. So as you can see from this first image, this is how it arrived. This is the box it came in. And here are the details of the locomotive. So here is a picture of the DMU with the speed whiskers, and these are the pictures, like I said, that was off the eBay listing. And at first when I looked at this, I thought, oh, this is great. This is exactly how I wanted it. And I actually made the mistake of actually bidding on it. Well, not bidding on it, but making an offer without fully checking everything first. And as you'll see in a moment what the issues were, so you can sort of see what I had to do. And as you can see from this image, you can see that it's pretty, that one of the exhausts is missing. The other one looks like it's not quite on properly or glued on properly. And what I didn't realise in the picture was that there's actually a slight crack on the lower near side where the exhaust side is missing. So, but I paid $35 for it, and I think it was a reasonable price considering that a lot of Lima locomotives are going for about £70. In this image, you can see some of the modifications that I did with the expectation of putting some saloon lighting on the top part in the roof of the body. And you can also see in the body on the top left hand corner where I put the speaker. Originally the speaker was underneath the chassis, and I think that it was too close to the screw that was holding the body, and maybe too close to the rails, that it was damaging the speaker, and that ultimately probably what caused the speaker to fail. So I decided to now just mount it into the roof and blue tacked it into the roof, and it sounds, as you'll hear soon, it sounds pretty good. You can also see from the chassis itself that the interior of a Lima body, the actual Lima body and the interior of the Lima body shell will also fit onto a Hornby Railroad Plus. So if you want to do this modification, you can quite easily do it. It's all just clipped and screwed. There's nothing difficult about it. What I did is I actually painted the interior, the floor in the brown, and I actually added some sort of upholstery on the seating, and I also added a driver, and also just painted the console, the instrument panel, with a view of lighting the interior. I haven't actually got round to doing that yet. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, so I'm still working on that bit. But for now, I'm hoping that I can get lighting into this saloon, just so to show that off and show off the upholstery. At this point, the glue was still drying. I put the glue on the seating. So I used PVA. I didn't use Pritt Sticks. I started using Pritt Stick, but it wouldn't take properly. So basically, I painted the seating in PVA, and then put the upholstery on top of that. And then I went over the upholstery with more PVA to make sure it was glued both on the outside and on the inside as well, to make sure that there is a good, when it dries, that it will just stay in place and not lift. In this next image, you can sort of see a bit better view, a bit closer look. And I also repainted the buffers, so they're nice and almost like new, pristine. You can see the driver there that he's been added. He's kind of in this oldie worldy kind of uniform, but that's just to reflect that he's kind of reflecting the time period of the DMU and the heritage line. And on the watercress line here, a lot of the people who volunteer on the watercress line do have these kind of type of uniforms to reflect the heritage line. So from here, it doesn't actually look that much different, to be honest, but the buffers have been painted, and I actually painted the interior and added some upholstery. It's very difficult to see from here, but like I said, you can see from the pictures that I showed you before that I did actually do it. I was hoping to put some lighting on here, some saloon lighting, but I didn't have much success with that, so I've just decided to leave it as is. I've also replaced the two exhausts on the back with metal pieces, which I've bent into shape. So that's now got its exhaust back, which was missing. Well, one was missing and the other one needed replacing, and I just wanted to make it uniform, so I replaced both of them, and I repainted the buffers. So, and now, like I said, it runs a dream because it's got the chassis of the Network Rail one, and also because it's got U2 sound. And the other thing I didn't mention was that I found out that the cause of the problem was the speaker. The speaker, when I was further testing it, eventually died. And so I had plenty of other speakers, so I decided to test it to see if it was a speaker, and indeed it was. So it's now got a new speaker in it, so it now sounds better than it did before, and it runs great, and now it's in the right colour, and it's in this lovely Brunswick green, which I really like a lot. And I actually like it with the speed whiskers on this one, actually, rather than the half yellow ends. Now usually I'm quite partial to the half yellow ends, but on this occasion I actually think it looks really smart with the speed whiskers. Now I should point out that I forgot to mention that I actually added a driver. So I've called him Harry. So Harry the driver, he's there at the head of the bubble car. So let's just fire it up just so you can have a quick listen. Sounds all right. It's got all sorts of sounds on this U2's sound file. I haven't really delved too deeply into it. It was only today that I was just having a really good look at some of the features. It's got some nice horns as well. So just before we go, I just wanted to mention about last weekend, because I'd actually forgotten. I was meant to mention it at the beginning of the video, but then I realised I hadn't mentioned it, so I'm going to mention it now. I wanted to say thank you to Gary over at Cheeky Tech, Tony at Tony Northeastern, and Fred at Wilbury Castle, and Gordon McCall Kilroy, who I met once again at the Alton FebEx show last week. I went there last week. I went there and I was going to go to the Guildford one 2 weeks prior to that, and the Southampton one the week before Alton FebEx. But to be honest with you, I wasn't really feeling the layouts that were there, and I didn't really think that they were that great. And from what I gather, and from what I've seen on YouTube, there wasn't really much that really interested me at any of those two exhibitions. However, that being said, at the Alton show, it was definitely my cup of tea. Not only, I'm not just saying that because it's my local show, because it is, but it was really a good show. Some really good traders and some great layouts and some fantastic company. So thanks to all the guys for being there. And we had a great time and had a good old chit chat and the chinwag. I actually didn't spend any money there, but as you can see, that's because I'd spent some money on the little green DMU, and also because I'd spent money on getting the other DMU, which you saw in the running session, which is the Network South East Thumper, which will be another video on its own at some point soon. So that concludes the end of today's video. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And my name is Susanna, and I live with trains. Goodbye.